It was sitting on the kitchen counter like an accusation. White envelope. My name printed in bold. I hadn't opened it yet, but somehow I already knew. My mother stood by the sink, her back stiff, her shoulders tight beneath her cardigan. She didn't look at me when she said it. It's scheduled for next month. My throat closed. Scheduled, what is? She turned then. Her eyes weren't angry. They were worse, determined. Controlled. Like she'd already made peace with something I hadn't even agreed to. The consultation confirmed it. The surgery will correct this confusion you're going through. Correct. That word echoed inside me like a slammed door. I wanted to laugh. Or scream. Or collapse. Instead, I stared at the envelope. My secret, the dresses hidden in the false bottom of my closet drawer, the soft pink lipstick wrapped in tissue, the photos on my locked phone, was no longer mine. She had found everything 3 nights ago. I still remembered the sound of the drawer sliding open while I was in the shower. The silence afterward. The silence that lasted all through dinner. And now this. You went behind my back? My voice trembled despite my effort to steady it. I'm your mother, she said softly. I won't let you ruin your life. Ruin. I swallowed hard. It's not ruining my life. It's a phase, she insisted. And I won't let you mutilate yourself. This surgery will help stabilize your hormones. You'll feel normal again. Normal. I looked down at my hands, slender fingers I had secretly admired when they were painted a pale nude shade at night. I imagined them in a hospital bed, forline taped to my skin. The image made my chest tighten. But beneath the fear, something else flickered. Defiance. Because as terrified as I was, I also knew something she didn't. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a phase. This was me. And for the first time in my life, I realized I might have to fight for that truth. After that night, the house felt different. Smaller. Colder. Every step I took seemed monitored. Every glance from my mother carried silent evaluation. At breakfast, she slid pamphlets across the table. Read these, she said gently. They explain everything. I looked down. Words like gender realignment therapy, hormonal correction, restorative procedures jumped out at me. She thought she was saving me. But what she didn't understand was that I had never felt more like myself than the nights I locked my bedroom door and pulled on a silk blouse. At work, I couldn't focus. I was a 23-year-old junior graphic designer, sitting in a sea of glowing monitors and half-empty coffee cups. Normally I lost myself in color palettes and typography. Now, all I saw were hospital forms. My coworker Daniel leaned over my cubicle. You good, man? You look like you saw a ghost. I forced a smile. Just family stuff. He shrugged. That's always the worst kind. If he only knew. At lunch, I caught my reflection in the dark screen of my phone. The face staring back at me felt like a mask. Stubble I hadn't shaved carefully that morning. Shoulders hunched too wide. I imagined softer lines. Longer hair brushing my cheeks. A subtle curve of eyeliner. The thought brought warmth. Then guilt followed. Was I selfish for wanting this? For wanting to explore? For wanting to exist in a way that made my chest feel lighter instead of heavier? When I got home that evening, my closet door was open. My stomach dropped. My dresses were gone. In their place sat a folded stack of my old high school football jerseys. A message. I stood there, fingers trembling against the wood. It felt like someone had erased a part of me. At dinner, I finally snapped. Where are my clothes? My mother didn't look up from her plate. I donated them. You had no right. I have every right. You live under my roof. Her voice wasn't cruel. It was firm. Loving, even. That made it worse. I pushed my chair back so hard it screeched against the tile. You can't fix me because I'm not broken. She finally met my eyes. You'll thank me one day. I walked out before she could see the tears forming. That night, I did something reckless. I ordered a new dress. And heels. And a wig. Delivered to a pickup locker 2 streets away. If she wanted to control my home, fine. But she couldn't control my curiosity. 3 days later, I stood in front of the locker unit, hard hammering. The metal door swung open with a soft click. Inside was a brown box. My hands shook as I carried it back to my room after everyone went to sleep. I locked the door. Closed the curtains. And opened the box. The dress was a deep navy blue, soft and cool under my fingertips. It slid through my hands like water. The wig was shoulder-length, chestnut brown, with gentle waves. I hesitated. What if she was right? What if this was a mistake? But then I remembered the hospital letter. And I knew I needed to see myself clearly before anyone else decided my future. I undressed slowly, folding my everyday clothes with mechanical precision. When I slipped the dress over my head, it hugged my body differently than I expected. It wasn't perfect, my shoulders still broader than I wished, but it was close. The wig felt strange at first. Then natural. I stepped toward the mirror. My breath caught. There was still me in the reflection, but softer. Gentler. The tension in my jaw relaxed. My posture changed instinctively, hips tilting slightly, shoulders lowering. I reached for the small makeup kit I had hidden in my backpack. Foundation. Mascara. A soft rose lipstick. Each stroke felt like painting a truth onto my skin. When I finally looked up again, my eyes filled with tears. Not because I looked flawless. But because I looked real. Hi, I whispered to my reflection. My voice cracked. I tried again, softer. Hi. For the first time, the greeting didn't feel like I was talking to a stranger. I twirled once, the hem of the dress brushing my thighs. A small laugh escaped me. Fear still lingered, thick and heavy, but beneath it bloomed excitement. Maybe this wasn't something to correct. Maybe this was something to understand. The following weekend, I took a risk. I told my mom I was staying late at the office. Instead, I changed in a cafe bathroom downtown. The fluorescent lights were unforgiving. My hands trembled as I applied eyeliner. Relax, I whispered to myself. When I stepped out onto the sidewalk, my heart pounded so loudly I thought everyone could hear it. Every passing glance felt like a spotlight. But something unexpected happened. Most people didn't stare. They just continued walking. A woman brushed past me and smiled politely. A barista called out, "Miss, you forgot your receipt." Miss. The word hit me like a wave. I turned, startled. Oh, thank you. My voice came out softer than usual. She didn't blink. Didn't double take. She just handed it to me. And in that small, ordinary interaction, something shifted inside me. I wasn't a spectacle. I wasn't a joke. I was just another person buying coffee. I sat by the window, fingers wrapped around a warm cup, watching the world move. And for once, I didn't feel like I was watching from outside. I felt inside my own skin. Later, as I walked through a bookstore, a group of girls laughed nearby. One of them complimented my dress. "I love that color on you." I nearly froze. "Thank you," I managed, my cheeks flushing. Small victories. Tiny affirmations. Each one chipped away at the fear my mother had planted. That night, when I removed the wig and wiped away my makeup, I didn't feel shame. I felt clarity. The surgery she scheduled wasn't about helping me. It was about erasing this. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. She found the new dress. I had hidden it better, but not well enough. She stormed into my room holding it like evidence in a trial. "You're still doing this?" "Yes." The word came out steadier than I felt. "I already scheduled the surgery." "We've paid the deposit." "You scheduled it," I replied. "Not me." Tears welled in her eyes. "I'm trying to protect you." "From what?" I shouted. "From being happy?" Silence fell between us. I took a deep breath. "I'm not confused. I'm not sick. And I'm not broken." She shook her head, but her expression cracked. "I don't recognize you anymore." "That's because you've never met this side of me." The air felt heavy, charged. "I'm canceling it," I said. "You can't. I'm 23. The words hung there. Legally, she had no control. Emotionally, that was another story. "I love you," she whispered. "I know. But loving me doesn't mean changing me." My hands trembled as I picked up my phone. In front of her, I dialed the clinic. My heart pounded with every ring. "Hello, I'm calling to cancel my procedure." The words felt like stepping off a cliff and landing on solid ground. The days that followed were raw. My mother barely spoke to me at first. There were tears. Long, quiet dinners. But something else happened too. I stopped hiding. I grew my hair longer. I wore subtle eyeliner to work. When Daniel raised an eyebrow, I simply said, "Trying something new." He shrugged. "Looks cool." That was it. No drama. No collapse of my world. Just life continuing. I started going out more confidently on weekends. I experimented with different styles, flowing skirts, fitted jeans, soft sweaters that draped instead of clung. Each outing felt less like a performance and more like breathing. One evening, I came home dressed fully as myself. No changing before entering. My mother looked up from the couch. She stared. I braced for impact. Instead, she said quietly, "You look comfortable." I nodded. "I am." She hesitated. "I don't understand it. But I can see you're not miserable." A small crack in the wall. Weeks later, she asked, almost shyly, "Would you like to go shopping together sometime?" My throat tightened. "Yeah," I whispered. I would. We weren't magically healed. But we were trying. Looking back now, I realize the scariest part wasn't the surgery. It was the idea of living my entire life as someone else. The night I canceled that appointment, I didn't just reject a procedure. I chose myself. And if you're watching this, maybe you're standing in front of your own metaphorical envelope. Maybe someone else thinks they know who you should be. But here's what I've learned. Authenticity isn't rebellion. It's survival. It's waking up and recognizing the face in the mirror as yours. It's trembling and doing it anyway. I was almost forced into a version of myself that felt safe for everyone else. Instead, I stepped into the unknown.